Trinity Sports Medicine, in its newly remodeled state-of-the-art facility, has a team of professionals that are committed to helping you move better, feel better, and live better. With services to keep you strong and in the game. A qualified staff of sports medicine physicians, a certified chiropractic sports physician, athletic trainers, physical therapists, and performance specialists. Trinity Sports Medicine has comprehensive care programs that are designed to keep you moving, improve your performance, and keep you on track for success.
Welcome to Week 9. This is the edited version of Dumb, Dumber, and Dumbest. This is just Dumb and Dumber. Dumbest is not even here this week, so you should be thankful for that. You don't have to listen to his biased opinion about anything else. So, along with Matthew Peaslee, Mike Mathison, talking Week 9 high school football. But before we talk about Week 9, I'm going to throw this one, before we talk about the other thing we'll talk about, question for you is we talked about, last week, what was your favorite sports movie? Right. So what's the one movie that when it's on television you watch? And Rookie of the Year can't be the answer.
Sure. Well, does it have to be a sports movie?
No, any movie.
I have a couple.
Okay.
Animal House.
Okay.
Because I think I've only seen Animal House when it's on TV edited and all that.
Okay.
I've never actually seen the DVD of it. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is probably my favorite movie of all time. And Happy Gilmore. Because it seems like Happy Gilmore's either on USA or ABC Family. It's always on something. So I think all I watch is like The Office, Seinfeld reruns, and those three movies.
Those three movies?
Yeah, that's all I can. Yeah.
And live sports every now and then?
Yeah. If there was a cable package that was just ESPN, ESPN2, Fox Sports, Root Sports, and those three movies, I'd be set. And
wow.
How about you?
Any of the Bourne movies. I can watch any of the three of them. Shawshank, as usual, is because that's kind of, I think that's let's see, you have to watch Elf just because I think it's the funniest thing. What's his face?
Will Ferrell.
Well, I think it's the funniest thing Will Ferrell's ever done, and I'm not even close. But I haven't seen all of his movies either. But I think Elf is absolutely.
A buddy of mine texted me today and said that he's watching Elf. He said it's October 23rd, and I blame you for watching Elf because I'm a big Christmas guy, and he was watching it. And the best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear.
There you go, baby. Oh. Did you hear that? It's one of the funniest things ever. Of course, my son, being 16 years old and being that age, he makes the effort to outdo Elf during that one Coke scene where he burps for like 47 minutes. I think it's really hilarious.
Does he put maple syrup on his spaghetti?
That's one thing. My son's way too finicky to put anything on anything, so that doesn't happen. Okay, so we got that. I'm also a big National Treasure fan, the original, not the second, but the original. Okay, now real quick before we talk about games. Okay, 91-0. And some father decides to put a bullying claim on the coach that won a football game 91-0.
With the second team in there for a majority of the game?
And third team.
Yeah.
And fourth team.
What else could they have done to prevent that?
I've read as much as I can read about it, and I've listened to what the coach that scored 91. He said, I was afraid we were going to score 100, and I didn't want to score 100. Yeah. Seriously? You're going to put a bullying claim?
And I heard that the team of the father that's submitting that bullying claim, they've been running over their schedule. They've been blowing out teams all year, too.
No, the team that got beat 91-0?
Yeah.
The team that got beat 91, they're 0-7, and they lost their first three. They lost their first three games by a combined score of like 187-17.
I'm not sure that
now the team that won 91-0, they're the number one team in 4A in Texas. Okay, we know how big Texas high school football is. They're the number one team in the state in Texas 4A. They have 70 kids on the team. The team they just beat has 30.
That's what's going to happen. And
I just. Seriously, and you know what? If the adult wouldn't have whined and talked and put in a bullying claim, which we won't even go into what bullying really is, and this is not it, then no one would be no one would have cared about a 91-0 game. Yeah, no one would have cared.
And it's for the second, third, and fourth team guys that were playing in there. That's their only chance to shine on a Friday night too. So they're probably playing their hardest. But I'm sure the coaches are even saying, do what you can out there, but I'm sure they didn't pass the ball 50 yards.
No, they just ran the ball the whole time.
Yeah, it's
and if you're a fourth team kid, what's the coach supposed to tell you? Don't play hard. That's when you get hurt.
Right. And I can't. It's just hard to believe that if I was on defense of that too, I'd probably step it up as much as I can on that. But it's when there's nothing you could do to stop it.
No, there was a running clock.
Running clock too in the second half.
Oh,
they did everything in their power to not make it 91-0. And like you said, it could have been probably 150 to nothing.
Exactly. The father should be thankful that. Oh, because if that would have been another coach, we all know some coaches get a little bit too big of themselves. Mm-hmm. If that had been another coach, he could have scored probably 200.
Yeah.
Now we can make a discussion about unsportsmanship and that, but
it just to see what the quotes of the coach said. He's sincere about it.
And the coach of the team that got blanked, he had no problem with it.
Fine, yeah. So it's when a dad has to do that.
I think the dad should have just pulled his kid at the end of the third quarter to go, come on, little Johnny, you need to go home because you're getting beat too badly.
Yeah, if he was that upset about it, that's what he should have done. And
but serious. This is a serious question. What happens when the world finds out who the kid is? Now is he going to get bullied because of what his dad did?
I'm sure he's going to get picked on. Yeah, I'm sure he already is. Yeah, you got to let your dad fight your fights for it. But I'm more embarrassed for the dad that he. It's got to be embarrassing for the kid too.
It has to be embarrassing for the child.
And I'm sure. I was at the game Friday, Toronto and Connaught Valley, which was very one-sided. But then I talked to some of the coaches for Connaught Valley after the game. They got beat by 30, 40 points, but they still found some positives out of the game, and the players were just happy to be playing the game of football.
Exactly.
On Friday night. They probably, when a team only has 20 kids like Connaught Valley and they lose by 30 points, they're just happy to be playing. They know they keep it as competitive as possible.
I agree. I was my high school basketball team wasn't very good at all, and routinely. I don't want to say routinely, but there was one team in the league that beat us, that scored over 100 points every time they played. It was like 100 to 40. 110 to 35. They just buried us. Yeah. And
nothing you can do about it. They're a good team.
Exactly. Sometimes your team's not very good, and people just can't handle it.
If they can't handle Texas football, they should move to New Hampshire or Vermont or something.
Nothing against New Hampshire, Vermont football, but it's not Texas. Where there's 60,000 high school 60,000 seat high school stadium. All right, week 9. Week 9
flew by.
They had just had snow in Dayton. We're talking week 9. Snow in Dayton. Thanks. Something that we don't say a lot here is Big Red is playing for their playoff lives. Mm. We don't say that a lot. We were incredibly wrong about Big Red Ursuline. Yeah. Ursuline just took it to him.
And that's my dad was at the game at the Ursuline, and he just said, "Wow, is Steubenville this bad?" And I said, "No, I don't think they are." But Ursuline just played the game they played their best game out of the past 3 years against them, and so that's kind of what did them in. But I never expected them to win by 20, and let alone be up 32-0 at halftime.
Yeah, 32. That doesn't happen at all. Let alone and so they're playing Park. Park is number 6 in the state of West Virginia. This is the best Park team Big Red's ever faced. I believe Park has only scored 1 touchdown on Big Red in the years they've played, and for years it was they got whitewashed on a regular basis. This is if Park beats them, then I don't think Big Red makes a playoff for the first time since I couldn't tell you when.
Yeah, it's if Park's on the rise like they are, number 6 in the state of West Virginia, this is going to be a big game for them. I'm sure Steubenville's always circled on their calendar too, because if they're playing each other year in and year out, and they don't know, or they've gotten beat up by them pretty good in the past, and a down Steubenville team that's lost 2 in a row. So
right, you don't say that a lot either.
It's going to be, they know what's at stake, I'm sure, but so they got to have a good week of practice and give it their best shot, because Park is going to give Steubenville their best shot.
Exactly, and if Park pulls this one off, Park's guaranteed a home playoff game, at least one in the state of West Virginia. Home playoff games are golden because you play at home as long as you can, as you're the top seed,
right.
And that's just. As opposed to Ohio, where you get one home game, everything else is neutral. So, man, this is what a good football game this is going to be down on Wing Island. You got St. Clairsville playing Buckeye Local. Congratulations to the Panthers getting their first win of the year last week.
Right,
that's huge. Beating Western Reserve 20-10. No team wants to go 0-for. Yeah. 0-for just stinks. And they did good offensively. They did very well defensively. The problem is they're playing a St. C team that is much better than Western Reserve, and coming off a 49-12 whipping of Edison.
Yeah, then the year that St. Clairsville had last year, they're still probably riding high from it this year, and with them wanting to close out the regular season on a high note, this should be a pretty easy game for them. But hopefully Buckeye Local still has their confidence going from last week, and it can make it competitive.
I like what Coach Pest said in our football lectures coming out Thursday. He said that none of our kids have quit. Mm-hmm. And that's what. because it's not fun going out to Friday night and getting hammered and the kids are playing hard, and you can't ask much more as a coach.
Yeah, and just getting one win out of a season may not seem like much to a big team like a Steubenville. That's a horrible year for a Steubenville, but for a team that like Buckeye Local, who struggled at the beginning of the season, just to get one win and have something to celebrate, it's got to be a pretty cool feeling like it was last week for them.
I just feel good for the kids. All right, we got a rivalry game that started in 1969, which is Brooke's first year. Brooke goes to Weir High to play the Red Riders. Brooke is 2-5. Weir's 3-5. We're after 3 straight, they've lost 2 in a row. Brooke is coming off a win, beating Parkersburg South pretty convincingly. I think just Brooke has a few more athletes than Weir High, but this is going to be a pretty good football game.
I got to see Weir last week at that Steubenville Central Catholic game for a little bit, and they were down by 1 touchdown and before the end of the first quarter, and they looked like they could make it competitive. They were driving, but they got a little too excited in the red zone. I think they fumbled it twice when they were ready to score, so they could have made it a little bit more competitive at halftime. But if they can fix those mistakes, hold on to the ball, they could give Brooke a good game like they did against Steubenville for a little bit in the first quarter last Saturday. Yeah,
because Weir has talent. There's no doubt about that. They have some talented kids, but once again, even though you're 3-5, you're still teaching kids how to win.
Right. I was impressed by what Larch did at running back for him, or running the ball for him.
Running quarterback. Yeah.
He could get the snaps. He got beat up a little bit, but he would consistently go for 5-10 yards a couple times in the second half there.
Yeah, pretty tough kid. A team that's coming. Ferry goes to Edison, and Edison just took it on the chin last week at St. C, which obviously you learn from, see the films, and try to eliminate from memory as soon as possible. Ferry had it was one of the best high school football games around. I stayed through 3 quarters basically, almost 3 quarters. It was they beat Creek 28-21. It was just a great high school football game. Edison's a little undermanned again this one because Ferry's got some really. But then again, Edison, that's a Buckeye team that Ferry's a Buckeye team that Edison matches up with really well. But if Edison can get back to where they were a couple weeks ago, eliminate turnovers, they're going to give Ferry all they can handle.
That's good, especially with Edison playing with only 2 weeks left in the regular season. And they've probably had this one circled for a while too, knowing that Martins Ferry is going to come in as maybe, and Edison can probably the underdog in this situation. But when you're playing with your season winding down, you want those big games on the schedule and to give them your best shot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to me for Edison because this is a playoff game for them. It's really not it's a playoff game for Ferry in the fact that they want to host a playoff game. And, they want to finish in top 4 in the region and host one playoff game. Yeah. So it's going to be a good one at Cartwright. Friday night at 7. It's just going to be, I think, pretty solid. Another Friday night game. This is not going to be a very good game. As Toronto goes to 100. 100 is not very good. Yeah. And
I was looking up a little bit on 100 after the game last week. They had to forfeit one of their games.
Right. They didn't have enough healthy players, really.
And they were shut out 2 or 3 other games. Toronto, I've been lucky enough to see them roll over 2 teams this year, Connaught Valley and Bel Air St. John. So, I came away impressed in those games against them. So it looks like they have another easy opponent this week on the road at 100, so maybe they can Ches Glenn, Blaze Glenn, Charles Ross III will get some rest in the second half for the Week 10
because they're going to need it because Week 10 they play Madonna.
Yeah, so that they want to rest them guys as much as they can to give Madonna a good shot next week, but without overlooking 100. I'm sure they'll get what they can in the first half or in the first quarter, second quarter, and then
see what happens.
And go on from there. But again, Toronto. I'm always impressed with you guys when I'm going out there.
Now, 2 more teams playing for the playoff lives in Week 9. Indian Creek goes to Harrison. Indian Creek lost a tough one to Ferry. And once again, a really good football game. And Harrison lost to Bel Air on Saturday afternoon. These teams always, a couple years ago, it was Harrison won in an overtime. Every time they play, it's just knockdown, drag out.
And a good late season matchup like that. It's
always is absolutely
fun for both fan bases to watch that. And it's again probably fun for the kids to play in because when you're both having pretty good seasons, there's always something to play for in the later weeks here.
Yeah, and for Creek, for both really, the losers out of the playoffs. Week 9, you're talking. Krofka said in the preview that Week 9 you're talking about a meaningful late October game. That's what you want. You want a meaningful late October game, and not everyone was sure Harrison would have that this year because they were young, inexperienced, and they come in with a chance to get a win, get a bunch of those computer points, and knock themselves up with 8, 9, or 10. Yeah. And next week they play Buckeye Local. Indian Creek, on the other hand, has a chance to get a win over a really good football team, get their computer points, and next week they get their rival Edison. Yeah. So if Creek goes win-win, there's a really good chance Creek makes the playoffs for the third year in a row.
It's fun. Those storylines at the end of the season here are fun. I mean, you think about this in week 5 or week 6, but when it actually comes to it, it's pretty fun just to see what happens because anything can happen.
Yeah. I was impressed last week with how Andrew Connor and the kids, took the loss because obviously losing that game is not easy, especially when you lose with 26 seconds to go. Yeah. But it's just going to be, I think it's going to be a really, really good football game in Caddis. Okay, and then the game. Ding, ding.
Talking Ursula
it's not
Mooney.
Ursula Mooney. It's ding, ding. The end of Rocky 2, right?
Yeah.
Ding, ding. Sumo Catholic Central Madonna. This is the game that people like you and I have been looking forward to from week 1. This is a game that Coach Daly and Coach Daly haven't even thought about till Monday. Yeah. You're talking 8-0 versus 7-0. Madonna's number 1 in the state in West Virginia. Sumo Central's number 7 or 8 in the state in Division 7 in Ohio. It's going to pretty much the whole staff's going to be there starting night. So
I was excited when I saw the schedule come out on Sunday, and you had me going there too. So it's
might as well. This is good. And I think Madonna beats their opponents by an average of 52-9. Central beats their opponents by an average of 51-11.
Yeah, so.
I mean, it has all the makings of a 12 overtime football, which won't happen, but it just has the makings of just one of the best games ever.
It starts with the quarterbacks too. Both of the quarterbacks are highly touted in each state. It was a pleasure to see Colabello go over 7,000 yards last week.
Right.
Right before halftime, he launched a pass, 81 yards for a touchdown, and then they went a little bit easier in the second half. But it was a pleasure watching him on the sidelines, and I'm excited to see what he does in a big game against another big quarterback in Ross Gomes. So it'll be fun to watch both those guys go at it and watch both undefeated teams go at it.
Yeah, hence is the reason why those two quarterbacks were on a football edition for various reasons. Sure. But those two, and Comus has ran for 908 and 19 touchdowns. He's thrown for 808 and 9 more touchdowns. So I think Breton has 25 touchdown passes, and Ross has 28 total touchdowns.
They're like carbon copies of each other almost.
Except Comus just has better feet than Breton does. Although I'm really impressed, with how Breton has gotten out of some trouble this year scrambling. It's not his middle name, admittedly, but they're very similar up front. I think Madonna's a little bit bigger. Yeah, a little bit bigger up front. But they're very, very, very similar. It's just, it's just going to be good.
and again, late season, tune-up. I mean, both these teams are likely going to the playoffs.
They are going to the playoffs. They've already clinched a berth.
It'll be. I'm sure those stands will be packed, and people have been talking about this for.
They should. I mean, and if you go back to playoff implications, a Catholic Central win guarantees them a home game. Yeah. Which is huge in the state of Ohio because you only get one. Right. Everything else is neutral site. So a Central win guarantees them a home game. A loss does not guarantee them not to have a home game because they get Magnolia next week, which is another big point game. A Madonna win pretty much solidifies them number 1 in the state, computer points, and gives them a Jimmy Carey home date throughout the playoffs until the week of the island.
Anyway, you want to be undefeated too. I'm sure anybody in the student body wants to wear a regular season undefeated T-shirt or something that says we were 10-0. That's what these guys are playing for. Right?
Yeah, they're playing bragging. And the one thing I read, Coach Daly said, if these kids have played against each other since 5th and 6th grade. Football, and then they play against each other in basketball. They play against each other in baseball. Yeah. They know each other. They talk to each other. I've seen them at each other's games. Just kind of because I know a lot of the kids on both sides. I've been around long enough that and it's just, and last year Madonna wins 21-20 coming from behind in the fourth quarter. It's just. I mean, it's just I don't care the size of the teams, but this is
great high school.
This is
football.
The games.
Yep.
And considering most of the players on both teams aren't going to go to college to play football,
this is their last chance to shine.
This is. Especially the seniors on both teams, man. It's
a big game.
It's a huge game. I'm expecting a really good atmosphere for Saturday night. The only game in town Saturday night. Nothing else is going on.
And you get 3 or 4 stories about it in Sunday's paper.
Exactly. You get game or 2 sidebars and see if I can get lucky enough to take a decent photo. I have my moments. I'm not as good as McElwain. Don't get me wrong, but I have my moments. I'm definitely better than Younce. Younce stinks. He's terrible. He has a hard time seeing over the kickers when he's standing on the sideline. It's just he's short. Yeah. Of course, you know what Younce did last night? Seriously, it was his wife's birthday. He worked over. His wife's birthday. He worked over. Younce, you stink. You seriously stink. This was so much fun without him. It's unbelievable. I know McElwain's still smiling. McElwain is smiling like there's no tomorrow because Younce is taking a nap somewhere.
This is a new generation right here.
Way new generation.
And I think he beat him 90-6 or whatever it was. 90.
Yeah.
This team is much better.
Much better. Just much more streamlined. Much more streamlined. Hey, we'll see you next week. Later. Much more streamlined. We lost 250 pounds.
And that's just in pure ego.
We're like the biggest losers. And pure ego.
The person that makes the serve course is great.
I am great. Central is great because I went there. This team is good, but the 93-94 team, of which I never played a down, unless we were down 91-0. That's when I played, or up 91-0. They were state champs, and they were down. They were never down 91-0. When they were up 91-0 and not getting bullying complaints against them. Seriously.
Hopefully, we don't see that this week in any games. Anybody from here?
Bullying?
Hopefully
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.